It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Breakfast. And yes, another busy weekend coming up. Good luck if you are looking at property. We have the latest impact with the global shock that is continuing. It's another busy Saturday morning property show that is coming up. Understanding the Australian property market. It starts for you right here, and it is nice to have your company on this Saturday morning, April the 18th, where very shortly we're going to have Dana Lewis and Mario Volpi. You know who Mario is. And we're going to be talking to both of them about the latest conditions from the UAE property market. So many Aussie investors in this market. They are both based in Dubai. And we've got things that are really changing. Economic slowdown is signalling a pause phase. Yes, recent data shows the UAE business activity is slowing to a near 4-year low, particularly across tourism and logistics. Why is that important? Well, for property, this translates to slower decision-making rather than falling demand, a key distinction. And why is tourism in particular so important? Well, you might have had plans to travel to Dubai for a holiday. You know, you paid for your tickets only to have this war break out and all of that went belly up. Now, governments around the world, they're advising against non-essential travel into the UAE with reduced flights and disrupted mobility. Now, this is directly affecting property transactions and people looking at moving into the UAE because that is a driver of the way that people relocate into Dubai, as an example. They go on holiday there, they look around, they look at different areas, they start looking at real estate and they say to themselves, hey, this is a really nice lifestyle, we could live here.
You're listening to the Saturday Property Market Update.
All right, Dana, what do you make of this economic slowdown signals this pause phase in the UAE?
Well, certainly, you spoke about travel disruptions, and I can tell you I came through the Dubai airport on Thursday night. There was nobody there. So on the flight, probably there were just a ton of empty seats coming out of London and then arriving back. We were the only baggage carousel that had people on it, people waiting for their bags. Into Dubai Marina, where I live, people were not out and the roads were empty. So tourism has really taken a body blow. The hotels that we know of, 15% occupancy, 20%. They've sent staff home. Tourism is not bouncing back because the tourists are, they read the news and they're waiting and they're watching. And there's not much of the season left. Property investors are the same. I mean, there are people who come and go from Dubai. Many of them are foreign. 65% of the off-plan purchases are done by foreign buyers. And definitely, as you say, pause, because people have different risk appetite. I did a posting on LinkedIn this morning talking about it, because I see some property agents trying to push clients saying risk versus reward. This is the time to jump in. This is the time when you should be investing. And I agree with some of that because I think Dubai will bounce, and historically it's done that. But every client is different. Everyone has a different risk appetite. So people who, maybe are just buying one apartment, maybe they're leveraging, they intend to rent it out later and take a mortgage as they near completion of the building. They have to qualify for the mortgage. Then they need rental income. And rentals are completely on pause, right? Because so many people have left Dubai. In the tourism market that we talked about, they tie into these short-term rentals, and that's where the real ROI, revenue, return on investment is. So yeah, big pause. People are watching and waiting, and they want to know, just as they may have been surprised how this started, Craig, they have great expectations on how it ends. Does it end with a cloud over the market and uncertainty in Iran? Or does this end with some kind of real, not ceasefire, but peace agreement, which makes the whole region blossom?
I do want to circle back though, because you've just come back from London. How many of your friends and family have said, gee, you're going back to the UAE? Was there some commentary from people asking you why you're going back?
Right away across the dinner table was my wife saying, what? You're going now? As you and I spoke about before, I have a personality flaw, and that's that I was a war correspondent for many years. So, my appetite for risk is a bit different. But, risk versus reward. I feel that I needed to come back for business. This is where I do my business. And I feel that the risk now has been minimized for at least a 2-week period with this ceasefire. I'm hopeful that it works out. I have very big question marks about the obstacles that are in front of the sides that are going to sit around a table or down the hallway from one another, because they may not sit right across from the table with each other. There are really some really long-term big risk issues here. And for the UAE, for the Dubai property market and Abu Dhabi, the Strait of Hormuz is their lungs, their oxygen. I mean, that's how you move trade. And so for that to be disrupted, controlled, like a toll highway, that's going to affect the market here. And that's why the UAE is quite insistent that the Strait of Hormuz be open and be free to maritime traffic.
Yes, and here's something that most people don't realise about Dubai during the global financial crisis back in 2008. A huge portion of the crash wasn't just financial, it was confidence-driven capital flight. Now, what happened? Investors didn't just lose money, they left the country, and they left the country pretty quickly. Property values dropped sharply as a result because liquidity disappeared almost overnight. Off-plan investors, they walked away, leaving developers exposed. So how does all that sort of link into today's situation? Well, back in the GFC, you had the financial crisis. Then, as a result, you had capital exit, and then price, boom, collapse. Today, you've got geopolitical risk. You've then, off the back of that, got hesitation, slower activity. The difference here, Mario, is that Dubai now has stronger regulation, more cash buyers, and better banking controls. So while the trigger is similar, the structure of the market is far more resilient today. Well, we're talking resilient with a caveat of we still don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, I was here during the financial crash here in Dubai. The market just collapsed. It really did. But the one thing that I can say between the two chaoses, if you like, although the chaos has been brought by different things, one is war and the other one was finance, is that you're right, the regulation that we currently have now, therefore the foundation of Dubai 18 years on is totally different. I mean, you got to think that developers in those days were able to sell off-plan properties in towers that they hadn't built yet on land that they didn't even own. Now, when I say that, and I've said that many times, I still shudder to think that that was how things were run back in 2008. You talk about that buyers walked away. Actually, it was the developers that walked away, leaving the buyers exposed. You've got to also look at, although we're going through this now, our fundamentals leading up to this crisis was extremely strong. Very liquid. You mentioned Dubai has lots of cash buyers. That's fine. People wanted to come and live here. It's safe. The security is there. The visas, everything that is here now was not there in some respects in 2008, and especially not the regulations.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to some senior bankers here weekly, and they do risk assessment on the developers, and they feel quite comfortable right now. I mean, obviously, the bond returns are quite high on some of the developers that have gone out to the market to raise funds because there is increased risk. And the longer this goes on, the risk is bigger. But at the same time, as you mentioned, the regulation after 2008, now you have escrow accounts where the DLD, the Dubai Land Department, monitors, and I'm not aware of how how good it is, but I mean, they claim it is very good. They monitor construction process, and funds are only released in stages as the construction proceeds. Then more of the investor funds are released to the developer. So the developers don't, run away or collapse, or there's protection for that capital. So the regulations have changed a lot. And what everybody needs to know about the UAE, these are the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world that support the big developers. And the last thing that they will accept is any developer getting into financial trouble, because that creates investment problems in the entire market. So a lot of the investment funds are actually involved in some of the developments. I take great insurance in promoting good developments to clients because I know who's behind it. How solid is the developer? And that's really an important discussion to have with your client, by the way. And as you say, some of the agents push developments come hell or high water. And really, it's a question to the investor. What's your risk appetite? Where's the capital coming from? Are you a cash buyer? Are you a leverage buyer? What's your time horizon for investment? What's your exit strategy, or what's our exit strategy? Because you're working with them. The banks, Craig, have tightened up lending now. So the loan to value was not 80-20 as it was. It's more like 70-30, could be 60. They are hesitating to loan the same way to foreign buyers. Domestic buyers get a little more leeway. But certainly things have tightened up. The banks are being more careful. But always, if you're just an agent coming in here to make a lot of money and sell people stuff, I hope you go away soon. If you're a property advisor that maybe has a few gray hairs, maybe you bought something yourself once and you understand what the responsibility is and the load on your shoulder when you take a mortgage or you buy an investment, you have to be able to talk to people about risk management and where they want to be. And those are really the best conversations to have right at the beginning with investors.
Right. Now, here is a quote for you on our Saturday morning. Confidence drives property markets more than fundamentals ever will, and confidence can return faster than people expect. So let's have a look at the sentiment. Is the sentiment starting to stabilise? The real focus becomes, if it is, timing. What needs to happen, do you think, Mario, for that hesitation to turn into real on-the-ground activity again in Dubai property? It's probably a loaded gun that I've just passed to you.
Yeah, you definitely have. What's shown is literally normality. That's what we need. We need peace. We don't need to have the threat of a missile being sent from one place to another. We've never had that. Now, actually, whilst that is going on, we do still feel safe, or at least I do. I know that's a contradiction in terms, but the reason I feel safe is because what's been shown is that the UAE is ready for this kind of conflict. Do they want it? Absolutely not, but they're ready for it. Who actually knew that we had these systems in place to knock out these missiles out of the sky? One thing is true, that once all that stops, and that's why in some respects this ceasefire, obviously I welcomed it. There's a little bit of confusion now in terms of will it stick, will it not? With a ceasefire in place, people will slowly start to feel better because normality slowly starts to come back. However, we need this situation to be completely finished so that we can go back to normality, but that will take time. It's that time that cannot be broken from the point of view of normalcy. During that period, we have to be able to still do the things that we always have done without the threat of something landing here that shouldn't be here. And I think that's the thing that will take time. Once that happens, we'll be back hopefully to normal and in a better scenario.
Yeah. And it is a big one to watch as this all unfolds. And if you know of somebody, or if this is you, completely stuck underwater, let us know. The email address, as always, is myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. And Dana, thank you for all of those comments on the Saturday Morning Property Show. Enjoy your weekend coming up.
Lovely. Great to talk to you, Craig. Thank you.
And also you, Mario, enjoy your weekend there in Dubai.
Thanks. Remember to rely on reliable sources, stay informed and safe.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.